Okay, good morning. Hello, everyone. Here we are again, this time on 23 February in the morning, at Lisbon time at least, for another session of the Wastewater Use event. This is how we do it. My name is Guilherme Toguia, and thank you for joining our panel for today. As you must know for now, our event has the objective to share knowledge and experience about wastewater use. We value the work and experience of the experts and professionals in the field that are fighting climate change, contributing to directly mitigate them, the revaluation of wastewater for multiple purposes. This is the third session of the 2023 edition, and we will talk about perspectives of wastewater use in urban areas. Note, this webinar will be simultaneously transmitted live on YouTube, and the link will be available so you can review all the presentations and share with others that couldn't attend live. You can be redirected to our website and LinkedIn by using the links provided in the description. There you will find all the content for this edition. In the name of the organization team, I would like to thank our wonderful partners for this event, namely Ferreira Consultancy, Fazedores da Mudança Association, Grokifar, and Lisbon Environmental and Energy Agency, Lisboa. Before we start, allow me to explain very briefly these webinar rules. First, each presentation will have 15 minutes dedicated, and there will be a moment of questions and answers after each one speaker of about 10 minutes. Second, we encourage the audience to join our talk. For that, we ask those who have questions to write them down on the online chat so I can introduce them. You can also put your questions in voice by clicking on your scroll bar icon with hands up and wait until I give you permission. Finally, for those who are joining us after this event on YouTube, you can always submit your questions by contacting us using the link available also in the description. At the end of the session, before you leave, we would like to invite you to take 10 seconds and answer our short anonymous survey. And finally, each session has a moderator. And for this session, I will have the honor to be accompanied by Filipa Ferreira. Filipa Ferreira is an associate professor at Instituto Superior Técnico, University in Lisbon. She has a master in sanitary engineering and a PhD in civil engineering. She is author of several book chapters, more than 30 scientific articles, reports and technical studies, research mainly in the following areas: urban drainage system, modeling and integrated management, and wastewater treatment. She is also co-author of more than 200 studies and projects, most of which in water distribution, drainage, and wastewater treatment in Portugal, Mozambique, Angola, Cape Verde, and Tanzania. Finally, she is also a partner at Hydra, which means in Portuguese, Hidráulica and Ambiente, or in English, Hydraulic plus Environment, to provide this kind of service to other companies. Filipa, are you there? Okay, you are there. Welcome. If you are ready, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Guilherme. Good day. I don't need to introduce myself. After this, I just need to introduce others, okay? So I will start with the first speaker, which is Dr. Zhuo Chen. She has a PhD degree from the University of Technology in Sydney, Australia, and is a research associated at School of Environment, Tsinghua University in China. Dr. Chen is interested in water reuse system planning, design and management, as well as reclaimed water disinfection, risk control, and safety guarantee approaches and technologies. She published over 40 research articles, including many journal papers and book chapters, and participates in the development of several international guidelines under international standardization organizations, namely in water reuse in urban areas. And today, I think she will talk a little bit about her experience in the following section that is entitled Global Water Reuse Situations and Guidelines Towards Sustainable Water Reuse. So, Dr. Chen, if you want, you can start.
Thanks, Professor, for your very nice introduction. So I will share my screen. So can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Zhuo Chen. I'm from Tsinghua University, China. I'm honored to be invited to attend this event. So today, my presentation title is Global Water Reuse Situations and Guidelines Towards Sustainable Water Reuse. So here is the outline of my presentation. It mainly consists of 3 parts. So firstly, I will just give a brief overview about global water reuse situations. And then I would like to introduce some international standards and guidelines on water reuse, especially for water reuse in urban areas. Finally, it's a summary and perspectives. So firstly, we know that the water environment problems mainly consist of water resource shortage, water environment pollution, water ecosystem destruction, and water space shrinkage. So especially we know that currently over 2 billion people are living in areas of high water stress. So by the year 2050, this number will reach to 3.9 billion. However, over 80% of the wastewater is released to the environment without adequate treatment. So having faced these water environment problems, we are thinking about water reuse, which can, on the one hand, it can extend water supply capacity. On the other hand, it can reduce the wastewater discharge and pollution loadings. However, the water reuse compared to the drinking water system, the sources of the water are much more complicated, so that there are challenges to ensure water safety and reliability. Although it also has some similarities with the wastewater treatment, however, it is much more complicated than just the treated wastewater, because it is a product after the treatment and reclamation, and then it will supply for different end users for different water reuse applications. So that here, this figure just show you how the water reuse applications are included. We can see that depends on the treated effluent quality, which can be as low as like just the secondary effluent to as high as after or goes through the advanced treatment technologies. And it also depends on the end user requirements, then it can be applied for different applications. For example, it includes agriculture irrigation, urban miscellaneous uses, scenic environment uses or environment flows, or industrial uses, and then it even can be used for potable purposes, either the indirect potable purposes, like when it's surcharged to the environmental buffers, or go into the groundwater recharge, or it can also be applied for direct potable reuses. For example, it sends the water directly to the water recharge tanks or the drinking water pipe systems. So here is just some information about water reuse in China. You can see that the reclaimed water use amount in urban areas of China already reached to about 14 billion by the year 2020. And for most of these reclaimed water mainly used for scenic environment, like the environmental flow augmentation, or the recovery, or the industrial uses. So these 2 end use applications may occupies about 80% of the total reclaimed water use in China. And in the United States, in 2016, there are over 480 water reclamation plants. And the applications includes agriculture irrigation, landscape irrigation, potable reuses. And from this figure, we can say for different states in the United States, the use amount are changed substantially, especially the Florida and California, due to their water shortage problem. They have lots of water reclamation projects being practiced. And in the Europe, in 2018, there are about 780 water reclamation plants. But many of these are in the South Europe, like Spain, Portugal, Italy, and Cyprus. However, when we look at the whole Europe, the water reuse rate is still relatively low, which is only about 2.4%. And it is expected that the amount of the high quality reclaimed water with tertiary or advanced treatment is expected to increase largely, because for many of the end use applications, for example, industrial uses or the potable uses, these advanced treatment technologies, for example, the membrane technology, are often applied and then also expected to increase largely. And a global trend is towards the sustainable growth and development, especially in countries like China, United States, and also some Middle East, some countries and regions in the Middle East areas. And due to the high demand on reclaimed water, so in 2013, the International Standard Organization, they have founded a new technical committee, which is about water reuse. And then the founders from the representatives from China and also the Japan, they have signed the agreements. And then there is also inaugural ceremony for the first meeting. So after that, this technical committee on water reuse has been initiated. So currently, we can say for this technical committee, it's already published 32 international standards on water reuse. And there are also some standards which are still underdeveloped. And it also attracts different countries to be participated actively, including 23 participating members and also 26 observing members. So for me, I was mainly involved in the subcommittee 2, which is about water reuse in urban areas. So for this subcommittee, our main task or scope is standardization in the field of water reuse in urban areas, and it addresses wastewater reclamation and reuse in urban areas, especially for the centralized water reuse systems, which is mainly conducted in a more large-scale basics, while there is also some guidelines that are dealing with the decentralized or on-site water reuse systems, which are more flexible, and many are conducted in some urban or rural areas. So here is the of the guideline for this subcommittee, water reuse in urban areas. We can see that there are guidelines for reclaimed water safety evaluation, while also the guideline for the centralized water reuse system and also decentralized or on-site water reuse system, including the design, management, and other issues, while also have the guideline for reclaimed water treatment, because we know that there are different treatment technologies from the basic or commonly used one to the more advanced systems, while there are also guidelines for reclaimed water distribution and storage and reclaimed water use, because as we mentioned before, there are different applications which may also related to different water quality requirements. And we also have the guideline for reclaimed water related products and services. So here is the participant members about this subcommittee. We can say that there are 18 participating members that across the whole world, and there are also some observing members. So we also have created the line zones with different other technical groups or the members. And here is the structure of this subcommittee. We can see that we already created a joint working group with some other subcommittees. And under the SC2, we also have 6 different working groups, which are dealing with international standards that are specified for different specifications. And till now, we already have held 17 meetings since 2014. And here are some of the international standards that has been published by this subcommittee too since 2017. And we can see some of the standards are related to the centralized water reuse system design management, and also some of them are related to the assessment water reuse safety evaluations, and some of them are related to the decentralized system design management, and also some of them are related to the stability evaluation, including the chemical stability and also the biological stability. And there is also someone regarding to the treatment technologies like the reverse osmosis. So till now, we still have standards that are being developed. I'm the project leader of this one, which is about the guidelines for the benefit evaluation of reclaimed water use. At the same time, we also have the guideline for the treatment system, like the biological filtration, and also the joint working group task together with some others, which is about the cost analysis in the planning of decentralized water treatment or reuse. And currently, there are still newly developed guidelines that just finishes a new working item proposal ballot. One is about the guidelines for the urban reclaimed water for scenic environment uses. Another one is about the management of the decentralized or on-site water reuse systems. So I just briefly introduced some of the international standards that has already been published by this subcommittee, which is about water reuse in urban areas. One of it is about the centralized water reuse system design. So for this international standards, we highlighted the technical and management approaches throughout the whole system, including the water resource to the water treatment, and also the water transmission, storage, and distribution. And depends on the end user requirement, there can be some additional treatments at the end user sites. At the same time, there is the quality control throughout the whole systems. And we highlighted the minimum technological requirements and also the multiple barrier approaches and monitoring, so that to ensure the water quality of the reclaimed water and to minimize the potential risks. And there is also an introduction about the hazardous analysis and critical control point. And then some related standards, guideline regulation, and policies on the local, national, or the local levels can also be applied. And on this standard, we also introduce a model which is a reclaimed water for multiple applications, because we know that for different end users, the water quality requirements might be different. So that for the reclaimed water project, it can have multiple applications, but for different applications, there can be different reclaimed water quality and also different associated treatment technologies or requirements that applied. And this kind of the model has actually been applied in some cities of China. For some of the large-scale water reclamation plants, it has been practiced quite well. And for another standard, which is about the decentralized water reuse system design, again, we also addresses the technical and management approaches, and also have the safety considerations, especially in terms of the health safety, environment safety, and facility safety. And here we have introduced different models, because we know that for decentralized water reuse system, it can have different scales. For example, for the large scales with a centralized operation, while for some community-based scale or some cluster scale system, or even the household scale systems, or for one individual buildings. So that for this guideline, we introduce different scales and also the different principles on that. Another standard is about water safety evaluation, because we know that in the reclaimed water source, it still contains some pathogenic microorganisms, dissolved organic matters, and also some nutrients. So that in order to ensure the safe use of reclaimed water, we have to pay attention to these potential hazards, and then to conduct water safety evaluation. So in this standard, we have introduced the water reuse safety evaluation framework, including the water quality analysis, and also the treatment evaluation, and also some considerations like the safety evaluation, while also the public acceptance for that. And after that, it's the safe water reuse practices. And regarding these standards, since we published from 2017, we already applied the key principles and technologies from this standard to some different countries. For example, it already directly converted to the British guidelines, French guidelines, and it also support the development of the Portugal regulations on water reuse. And in China, we also have different practices in several provinces of the China. So here is some water reuse project in the northern part of China. And lastly is summary and perspectives. We know that there is still large water reuse potential in the globe and China, and both technical and management approaches for water reuse system and water safety control and guidelines are important. And at the same time, the international or national standards, guidelines, regulation, and policies are vital for sustainable water reuse. So that's all my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Chen, for your nice presentation. And now we'll move on to the second speaker. It will be Rui Mendes. Rui has a master's degree in environmental engineering and sanitary field from the Nova School Science and Technology. He started his activity at Lisbon and Nova in 2015, collaborating on water efficiency project with the aim of reducing municipal water consumptions. Nowadays, he works on several projects in the areas of urban water cycle, smart and sustainable water management, efficient water use, water energy nexus, and circular economy. And he is responsible for the coordination of the project Be Water Smart in Lisbon. So Rui will present this the session entitled Study of Attitudes and Behaviors Towards the Wastewater Reuse in Lisbon. So if you want to start, please.
Yes, thanks a lot, Filipa, for the nice presentation. And thank you also, Guilherme, for the invitation for being here today. Let me just share my presentation. I think you are already seeing it in presentation mode. Yeah.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Thank you. So I'll then present the main results of this study, the attitudes and behaviors towards the wastewater use in Lisbon, which aimed, as the name says, to assess the public acceptance of this practice in Lisbon. So starting with the methodological framework, so we started our.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know you have two monitors, but can you please speak to the one with the microphone, because it's
okay, yeah,
echoing a little bit. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Yeah. So the design of this study used three main techniques: focus groups, quantitative surveys, and in-depth individual interviews. Regarding the focus groups, we did two with the younger citizens and more mature citizens, but all residents in Lisbon, and all professionals not related to the water sector. As for the surveys, we conducted over 600 surveys in the early 2020. Which were separated into main groups of responses. The residents in Lisbon and a more specialized public, which is an aggregated of citizens included in the Lisboa Nova database, which basically are more aware of these environmental and sustainable questions, let's say. And then the in-depth individual interviews were conducted with 10 entities, local from Lisbon, local authorities, licensing, management, and also potential users. So very quickly, the structure of this study is divided mainly in three parts: the involvement with water, the receptivity to water use, and also the awareness raising or communication actions. Starting with the involvement of the people with water. This specific data is probably the only one that is outdated today, but even so, I wanted to show it with the relevance of this data, even so, because when confronted with various topics, the water, plastic, fuels, electricity, about nearly 33% of the residents believed that water should have a big priority, followed by the plastic. But on the other hand, the major responses for the specialized public were focused on the resource water. So there is a big difference between the importance that these two groups give to the water. Now, due to the war, we sense that probably these people would value a bit more today the fuels and electricity, but even so, it's important to highlight the importance of water by citizens, and we believe that it would keep still high today. Now, the responses identified several most consuming public spaces in Lisbon. The main ones were the irrigation of green spaces and street cleaning, and obviously they are quite right. So these are the naturally comes like the main uses to tackle and or serve as a potential option for the wastewater use. Now, the perception of the origin, we wanted to evaluate for the residents and the public, specialized public, what was their perception? From where comes the water that it's used in the public spaces in Lisbon? And we found that the amount of citizens that doesn't know or have no idea where the water comes from is actually pretty high, almost 36%. It's pretty high, so it's which is worrying, and it's an issue that must be tackled to teach and to provide information to citizens about this kind of stuff, this kind of detailed information. So there is also a very curious point that almost 17% of the residents already associate the wastewater use in public spaces. So that means that they are already have the conviction that the practices already takes place in Lisbon. So that's although it's still not much, but it's a plus to the public acceptance. And additionally, I don't have the figure here, but 60% of the citizens agree with the use of this type of water, the wastewater. And 31% also of the residents show indifference to the type of water used. So this is also another issue to tackle. In terms of the efficient water management actions that were identified by these surveys, we have the results in terms of the needs, and the residents consider that the natural way to achieve efficiency is the use of rainwater and wastewater. So it's the two most identified actions. And regarding the specialized public, it's totally different. We can see a huge difference, focusing on much more on the wastewater as a measure to improve efficiency in water management. But okay, we were already expecting this this result from the specialized public, since it's more oriented towards the acceptance of wastewater. Now, this slide highlights the reasons why citizens, relative to the results of the previous slide, did not consider wastewater as a priority alternative. It should be noted therefore that the resident citizens consider very difficult to implement this kind of wastewater reuse, followed by the distrust in water quality. And as for the specialized public, sorry, I didn't translate these words. For the specialized public, the main concern is about the distrust in water quality. So the previous presentation was quite a nice topic to introduce before this and to tackle this perception of the citizens. Now, there are also positive associations and negative associations. And I'm turning now to the second part of the study, the receptivity to reuse. The citizens decode this concept into these positive and negative associations. There are positive ones, and it is important to capitalize on them, in which I would like to highlight the efficient optimization of the natural resource, and also the very much mentioned the cost reduction. And for the for the negative associations, the people still identify the incorporation of chemicals. It's still a stigma, let's say, which citizens also always associate to something harmful for public health, and insecurity regarding the quality of the wastewater. And it is also a negative connotation to increase the public investment. So this is important also to tackle these negative associations. Now, as for the wastewater use or reuse, actually, citizens project mainly uses for irrigation and street cleaning. These results were, I had previously mentioned it, the irrigation and the street cleaning has the most consumptive uses in the public space, and now they project them again has main potential for the reuse uses. Now this image has a lot of information, which I won't go into much detail, but regarding the reasons for the agreement and disagreement about the receptivity to reuse, I want to highlight here the smart way to manage water resources and saving drinking water by replacement of the type of water, which ultimately represents the greatest intrinsic value of reusing wastewater, which is saving the drinking water for more noble uses. And in terms of the disagreement reasons, citizens would prefer to use, it's quite a tricky answer, to wastewater. But what the citizens mean here, it's they prefer as we could see before, they prefer the use of rainwater instead of wastewater. And for the specialized public, it's not the same thing, because they are more used to this hypothesis of reusing wastewater in the public spaces. So this is a very interesting one in terms of trust in the wastewater reuse. It is evident here that despite the concerns, they attribute credibility to the wastewater reuse, because as we see the percentage here of acceptance are pretty high for these uses. Here on the right we can see for public uses, it's above 80% for use in gardens and street cleaning. And on the left, it's for food. It's not the agreement. It's not so high. It's less agreement, but still 60%, above 60%. It's surprising. So and it's quite a lot. Now this this slide actually helps to summarize very well. In a very well way to this study. It almost does like a wrap up because regarding the public acceptance, since the data treatment through cluster analysis allows to identify these four typologies of citizens regarding the acceptance of the wastewater use. In a public space. So I will not go into much detail, but I want to highlight here the high percentage, above 40% of citizens who are fully receptive to the wastewater use, and also receptive to gardening, street cleaning, and also possible use for agriculture for human consumption. It's surprising, and the less receptive, let's say, which is about 16%. But there's a key point here regarding these people that are less receptive, because they may assimilate this or may turn more receptive to the wastewater use if they assimilate the effects of water scarcity is a trigger point, and if it is proven that there is no risk for public health, the reuse in the urban areas, and the contact, if accidental contact with people, and also a curious thing that the less receptive are the younger citizens. It's very interesting due to probably those who live in areas that don't have much gardens, so they probably don't value green spaces that much, and probably don't have idea how much it costs to maintain, how much water it costs to maintain, and the importance of replacing the still drinking water that is being used for this irrigation. And anyways, all these results highlight the need for communication, the communication strategies to raise awareness and empower these citizens that are less receptive, which is the next part of the study, which focuses on receptivity to communication and awareness raising actions. So therefore, I'm running out of time here. For the communication actions to be effective, we also wanted to hear what the people had to say about this effectiveness of communication actions, and these were the various means of communication suggested by the respondents, highlighting the recommendation way on the right. These were very highlighted to be used. Regarding the forms of credibility for the reuse were also discussed, which is both types of the respondents should be highlighted here. Has evidence of compliance with the quality of parameters, the regular water analysis with breakdown of parameters, and updated classification of parameters compliance. These were as mentioned before, the main concern one of the main concerns is the water quality. So in here we can see obviously the way to increase this credibility of this practice. Now, regarding the stimulation of adhesion or ways to promote entities to use wastewater, it goes through several types of arguments. But the two most important that were highlighted were the economic and climate arguments as a priority. Finally, this last one is a very interesting one, because regarding the receptivity for human consumption, we also wanted to. It was a last topic to discuss with the citizens, but we also wanted to evaluate what would be this receptivity. And most of the respondents were undecided about this use for direct human consumption. But there are a very curious result that there are already a small percentage who think that the water for human consumption in Lisbon is already reused. It's already wastewater that comes from the wastewater treatment plants in Lisbon. So this actually means that they already take this practice as for granted, let's say, even for human consumption. So it was a very interesting to listen about this subject. And so I end the presentation here and leave the direct link for the study, which is it's public in our website, but in the Portuguese language. So, and thank you.
Thank you, Rui. It was a very nice presentation with lots of interesting statistics. So now I will pass to the third speaker. Is Lydia Saez Garcia. She has a degree in environmental sciences, a master in integrated water management, environment and occupation risk prevention, and is a senior technician in occupation risk prevention and in food safety. Lydia is head of research in the research department, sub-directorate of Canal of Isabel, the second, and has been working for more than 20 years in this field, has a high level of experience and knowledge on environmental and circular economy, process within the management of integrated water cycle, the link between water and health, risk management planning, as well as the design, development, and coordination of new innovation projects. So Lydia will be presenting the team Reuse Water in Madrid region, Canal d'Isabel II, as a case study. So Lydia, please, if you want to start. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Filipa. Thank you, Guillermo, for letting us be here and tell all of you about our experience. Let me show my screen. Can you see my presentation? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So, thanks again. It has been very interesting, all of my previous presentation. So we have talked about governance and standardization. After that, Rui told us about the citizen perception. And now I bring to you a case of a study that shows that this is possible. This is how we do it. And first of all, I would like to introduce Canal d'Isabel II because it's a very well-known company in Spain, not as that much in Portugal. So we are the public that manages the whole water cycle in Madrid region. Madrid region involves 179 municipalities. It's not a big region, but it's the most crowded region in Spain because it contains the capital. So we supply water to more than 6.7 million people. And we truly believe that sharing our experience is the best way to put knowledge together and start to evolve to a more environmental care and citizens care and water care in the whole world. So that's my company, Canal de Isabel II, was born in 1851. You can see it has a very, very long history, and we have a great experience in management, in water management. We started supplying potable water, but in 1988, we started to clean every wastewater and managing wastewater treatment plants. We have faced some changes in the name and the company, but right now we are 100% in public hands. And this is surprising that you are going to see that, but we have benefits. So we can manage the whole water cycle from the extraction. We have 13 dams and 78 wells. We have 14 treatment plants, more than 70,000 kilometers of transport and distribution networks, 157 wastewater treatment plants. It's not that important, the numbers, the figures. The importance is that we are a very, very big company, and we can manage the whole water cycle including commercial services, every digital transformation. We face an environmental management, and we produce energy. We are the first energy producers in Madrid. So it's relevant to say that we give benefits to the society. We give energy. We are self-consumers, so we can produce more than 100% of the energy that we consume, and we also provide energy to the network. And we have near 150 million euros of benefits. So that's the great figures, and it's needed to say that we face the same than Portugal or Lisboa because of our latitude. We face supplying water to an increasing population with less resources because of the climate change. This graphic shows that, for example, it's in Spanish, the historical average has decreased in the last 30 years. And we have less water incomes and more population to serve. So that's why we need to face new supplies of water. We give the importance to promote the consumption of reclaimed water. We haven't done this survey as you in Lisbon, in Portugal. We think we have to increase our population perception on water consumption, but we have implemented that. So I think when people receive gardens irrigated with reused water, in the meantime, they don't think where it comes from. So maybe we have to teach them, we have to make more campaigns, but what I bring to you is the experience of implemented. We have a big strategic plan, and in the first place is ensuring guarantee of water supply, and that's where extending the water reuse network comes. So in this special subject, I have to tell we have implemented 33 tertiary treatments in our wastewater treatment plants. And now we produce more than near 140 cubic hectometers of reused water. Most of this reused water goes to the environment, so it's flowed to the river. that means we are increasing the quality of the river because we are not flowing wastewater treated wastewater treated to the river, but we are providing to the environment a higher quality of water. Okay. The thing is that this water mustn't be judged by its past, but its quality, because we achieve a high standard quality in this reused water, more than it's needed. So just to show you, this is Madrid region. We have this 156 wastewater treatment plant with these 33 tertiaries and more than 700 kilometers of reclaimed water. In a percentage, is less than 4% of the potable water, because we are supplying more than 500 cubic hectometers. But we manage more than 17,000 kilometers of pipes in potable water. So in a percentage is not very high, but you will see it's very important, because 140 cubic hectometers produced is a high amount of water supply, of reclaimed water supply. As I said, the main part is given to the environment. The other part, 17 cubic hectometers, are supplied to urban purposes. We don't supply water for agriculture. This is different to the rest of Spain, because in the south of Spain, near 100% of reused water is used for agricultural purposes. Not in our case, because we don't have this amount of agriculture. We are in a more industrial space, urban and industrial space. So we supply water to mainly irrigation and park and gardens, near 60%, 26% for irrigation of golf camps, and 15% for industrial purposes. Now I will talk you about one of them. So what the amount of reused water we supply is equivalent to these two, the capacity of these two reservoirs, is 2 of the 13 reservoirs in Madrid. So it's not a big percentage, but it's a great amount of water. Okay. We supply water to 26 municipalities. We have more than 400 reuse contracts. We irrigate more than 400 parks and 11 golf courses. So we, at the end, we irrigate more than near 3,000 hectares. This is the map of the municipalities we supply with this reused water. I have to tell that there are in these municipalities are included the most crowded municipalities in Madrid. So we face more than municipalities with more than 1 million people. Okay. In the industrial purposes, I must say, we have one of the biggest experiences in Europe in industrial purposes with reclaimed water. This is one, it was called before Holmen paper. It's a manufacturer of recycled paper. And they are producing the recycled paper 100% of the product they manufacture is made by reused water inside the product and inside the production. So they are using 100% of reclaimed water. This is the first experience in Europe, and we are very proud to share it with you. It's possible, and we made it. We have in this 33 tertiary treatments, all the possible technologies, including sand filtration, cloth filtration, membrane filtration, from ultrafiltration to reverse osmosis, lamellar setting, basal sedimentation, and of course we are always looking for best technologies that needs less space, no, as all the utilities does. We have all these possibilities and we have all these technologies available, we can face wherever quality is demanded. Which are the challenge? The challenge is that we are implementing infrastructures in urban areas. So that's difficult because you have to face, you have to install your pipes in roads, and you have urban affection in existing infrastructure. So it's not easy. It's not easy, but we wanted to show you this specific experience that may show how to deal with this challenge and how to solve it. We have this basin. This is one specific basin, and we from this Culebro wastewater treatment plant, we supply seven municipalities, near 1 million inhabitants, and we did face 45 million of investment. Okay. In the wastewater treatment plant, we implemented one tertiary treatment, but after that, and after the municipalities, there was this experience with the Holman paper manufacturer. So we had to install an advanced tertiary treatment with osmosis, reverse osmosis, to provide water to this Holman paper. We installed more than 700 liters per second pipe with more than 49 kilometers with 18 million of investment. What is the difficulty? The difficulty is that you have to face one specific previous investment, but we can assure you we recover all this amount of money, even economic. But the most important thing is we face scarcity. When we don't have enough potable water, we can supply. We are supplying reused water, but this is more important in drought periods, as you can see. So in this specific moment, we had to deal with 45 million on investment. But what is the problem? The problem is that we have infinitive interferences. This is different of agriculture purposes because you implement your pipe from your wastewater treatment plant to the agriculture. You have to deal with, we had to deal here with roads, with train, with pipes, other pipes previously implemented, with power lines, with gas lines, vegetation, subway, because we have to cross some subways lines. But we have some advantages also, because as we are one specific company that evolves the whole water cycle, we have a centralized production. So we have the wastewater treatment plants. We can produce the wastewater. We can face the tertiary production, and we can install and control the quality management. We installed, we say EVAs, is the tertiary quality control panels. There are automatic surveillance station, and we can control the reduction of the chlorine in the pipes. So, for example, we see that in this reused water, in 4 hours, it loses 80% of the chlorine, the residual chlorine, so we can face installation of new chlorination station if necessary. So that centralized production led us to be the one who control the quality of our water supply. There are some economies of scale, as you can see here. The red line are the cubic meters we supply, and the green one is the cost. So as much water we produce, as less is the cost per cubic meter. So we can say with these figures, for me it's not important you to see the numbers of the figures, but the conclusion with this scale, with a bigger scale, we can save more than 30% of our cost. Okay. This is one of the most important things we can do to promote the reclaimed water through the citizens. We have faced some campaigns. I wanted to say, because of the Rui explanation of how people has not this good image of the reclaimed water, or maybe because they don't know where it comes, or the quality of the water. But when you want to promote the use of reclaimed water, this is the most important thing you have to face, the price. So for us, it has been very important, but it has been decisive because it has made people to accept reclaimed water in their purposes in municipalities. We let consumers reduce their bills. That's a problem for the company because it doesn't face the whole cost that the production have. But for us, it's important to make people trust in reclaimed water by using it. So we offer very 80% savings in their bills. So that's our experience. I want to highlight that the centralized production led us to centralized quality control, promote economies of scales, and let people and control the bills and control the prices. So it's possible. We face that, but with a previous investment, high investment. But as it is necessary, as governance wants to improve the reclaimed water consumption, it is needed. So we face this subject investing and promoting the solution. So that's the end of my presentation. We always say that we cannot wait the emergencies to happen to provide solutions. So we face climate change, we face scarcity before it happens, and it's possible. Here is the example in urban uses. Thank you, all of you, very much. I'm available if any of you want to ask for any question here or in the future with my email. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Lydia. Before starting the questions and answers, I would just like to say some very briefly, like a little summary of what we've heard, because we've heard firstly about the international standards on water reuse in urban areas, and of course that is fundamental for sustainable water reuse. And there's a lot of things that have been done and that also contribute to minimize, not just to minimize the risk, but also to increment the safetiness and probably the perception of people regarding this. And then we've heard about a statistical study on acceptance of water reuse in Lisbon. We are in Portugal, we are very behind our brothers in Spain. We are still starting, but Lisbon is one very good example of a municipality that is interested in water reuse and is implementing it as far as they can right now. So it's good also to see the interest in the public perspective. And of course, there are some minor understandings that should be addressed, and rainwater is one. Scarcity is related to lack of rainwater. So if you don't have rainwater, it makes little sense to invest in that reuse, okay? So I think more communication is needed, and also to clarify that we should reuse what's available, and what's available daily, it's wastewater. And also the wonderful experience of Canal de Isabel. It was very interesting to hear about you, and it was, you said several things that are interesting for a person, more technical person, but also for the common public. And I would say that the approach that you have to the costs is, in my opinion, fundamental, at least in the beginning. So you are doing a very good job, and we should learn a little bit from you too. So this is just some general comments to wrap up the session. And now I would like to open the space for some questions, and I'll let Guilherme moderate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Filipa, and thank you to all the speakers. It was amazing, and for example, starting from the last one, I have wrote it down two sentences that you said that I agree 200%. The first one is it's possible, and we made it, and you even smile. So this is an area that people work with really pleasure. And second one is that water shouldn't be judged by its best, but by its quality. And that is another question, sentence very important to us all, and the Zhuo presentation lead us to that way, so we can see that we can trust our companies and our legislators, because we have the technology to reach whatever quality do we need. So it was really a pleasure. We have two questions. We will not, no, okay, just one, because we put his hand down. Okay, two questions again, but we will allow first Damien, because he's has his hand up since the Zhuo presentation. Damien, you can talk to us, just turn on your microphone. You will not be able to be in video, but this is the webinar definition. Are you there? Damien? Okay, maybe we will pass to Rui first. Rui?
Hello.
Okay.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you, all the three speakers, the host and yourself. I would like to ask a first question to Zhuo, just for me to understand where, in more or less, how long ago was it that Portugal created this certification together with the presentation that you did, and why do I ask this question? Because I was just consulting the APA, the Agência Portuguesa do Ambiente, website updating how many licenses are approved at this moment, at today, 23 February. And I am so shocked negatively to see that in Portugal, there are only 6 licenses for reusing the APR, reuse of treated wastewater on the centralized system, 5 on decentralized system, 7 on symbiosis system, and only 2 for unconditional public irrigation. So we're talking about Portugal that has is not the smallest country in Europe, and has a great difficulty on water, and we are facing real problems. And although we have all the legislation, all the regulation and everything, and why is it so that we only have 20 in a universum of the whole country? We have 20 approvals for reusing wastewater treatment, and this is, for me, I can't understand this. So I would like to ask this question first to Zhuo. When was it, if she can answer? How long ago was it that the Portuguese government or the Portuguese authorities had access to have this regulation in work? And I want to ask Rui also that this answer, this confrontation that I'm bringing up now is absolutely contradictory to actually the public acceptance. So what are we doing wrong in Portugal? What's wrong with us? That's my question.
Okay, thanks, Rui. I think you mean the regulation that I mentioned in my slides about the water reuse regulation published by APA of Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, this one, if I remember, is published in 2019. Yeah, and actually, one of my colleagues, Dr. Annabella Ribello, she is, I think, a senior officer from the Department of the Environmental Agency of Portugal. Yeah, she let me know about this one, and then she also mentioned that in this regulation, it already referred to some of the international standard that has been published by the International Standard Organization, the Technical Committee of Water Reuse. So that's why I know that some of the experts and in Portugal, they already published several this kind of documents and want to encourage the water reuse in Portugal. But I'm not very sure about the why some of the water reuse rate in Portugal is still relatively low. But I remember in 2017, when we have the ISO meeting in Portugal, in Lisbon and also in Faro, there are water reuse practices like the golf course irrigation and also the agriculture irrigation ones. Yeah, some of the local councils and also the government agencies, they have introduced us to some of the projects. And there are also some experts who make presentations and talk about these issues. So I think for more information, you can search the detailed information about this regulation, because I heard from Alabama. She told me that recently, I think in February, the Portugal government has approved a new legislation for water reuse and other environmental issues. But she haven't sent me the document, and she just let me know about this one. So if you are interested, I think you can search it and then to see the content of this relevant guideline or regulation. Thank you.
Thank you, Zhu. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Zhuo,
Yeah.
the law that you are talking about, yes, it was indeed in February. It was on the 10th of February, and it was a law decree. So if you want, I can send to you after, and also to Rui, if you also want, because it changes a bit about the licensing process and the production, and I think as well the monitorization process, I think. Okay, so I have questions for all, but I don't want to manipulate these questions, and so I will maybe put one in general for the three speakers, or to anyone who wants to start. Just a little reflection is without the severe droughts that we faced, for example, the last year, and I think China even had a record-breaking year during the summer, but Zhuo can enlighten me. Why don't we see a positive aggressive approach towards the wastewater reuse? Because we know the climate is more and more unpredictable, with more and more rain deficits, and when it rains, we were experiencing more and more flooding events. So why don't we see, or in other way, why do we see some countries and some contrasts in the velocity of approach and implementing the wastewater reuse? Thank you.
Okay, so I want to try to repeat your question. So your question is about why some of the country, if they experiencing the heavy rainfall or the flooding issues, then they don't have like many incentives to conduct water reuse or wastewater recycling, right?
Yes. For example, that's one point, because countries have different incentives or programs or even national plans, but the main thing is, and Portugal, Spain, and China last year had a very difficult year in terms of drought. Why don't we see more projects? As we said, we only saw 6 or 7 implemented in Portugal, and more 20 to be licensed or something. Shouldn't we put this wastewater reuse agenda on our national priorities for the guarantee of service, at least for non-potable service in our cities and industries and companies?
Yes, from my opinion, for some of the places which have plenty of the rainfall, for example, in Korea, and also some south part of China, they have the rainfall harvesting program, because we know that compared to the wastewater, the rainwater is less polluted. So the treatment is much more simple, and also it is more acceptable by the public. So that I think for the rainwater harvesting and the reuse is also a good way for practice. But the problem for rainfall harvesting is it is not very stable. It means that for the year which have the droughts or have the less rainfall, then some places they can't have the water supply, the reliable water supply. So that in China, for many cities, especially in the north part of China, many of them face the water shortage problems. Then the government have initiated the guidelines and also the policies to encourage water use. For example, in Beijing, which is the capital city of China, there are the government has published several guidelines, and also the policies set the water price for the reclaimed water, which is significantly lower than the drinking water, so that trying to encourage more industrial parties and also some local agencies, for example, some local lakes or rivers within the city to use reclaimed water rather than the drinking water or other diverted water from other cities. So it is still some progresses going on, but for some of the water use cases, especially some decentralized or some smaller sized ones, because of some lack of some maintenance or the management, some of the system are not operated in good conditions. So that's why for the public or people, they still have some objections or towards the reclaimed water, so that it still have responsibility to further like give some educational programs or some other encourage or incentive strategies to promote. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and let me grab that educational programs to ask Rui. Just to quote some numbers, you said that the resident citizens of Lisbon, 35% of them was or wants wastewater reuse, but still 37% consider rainwater as a best solution. The specialized public consider 70%. I'm sorry. So it's the double amount or the double acceptance. Other data. One that kind of shocked me because you said 25.6% of the people has had low receptiveness to implement, and even worse, for me at least 16.4% aren't concerned at all about water or wastewater use, and this sum is around 41%. So my question is, and as you said, the less receptive are the younger citizens, and I will add probably the younger citizens for or live ever in urban, because they always had water running out. My question is, are there a lack of environmental programs or education of awareness within our schools or our city? And I know Lydia could join us on this talk as well, but she has already put some points on how do we tackle these issues.
Yeah, so first of all, in terms of education, there are several programs that are running with schools, but schools are overcrowded of programs, of educational programs regarding sustainability and health and any other subjects. So it is quite tricky to tackle this specific issue, or to have the opportunity to integrate this issue in an educational program, because they are overcrowded of subjects to the teachers, and the students already have so many programs and tasks and activities to do to engage, that they simply don't. It's difficult to engage them in this kind of topic, or to put this in their agenda. It's quite tricky. Another thing is as you said, and I said, the younger people are those who are less receptive to the water use. So it's quite surprising what we are. It's important to question what we are doing wrong, because it was not supposed to be like that, since we have so many raise awareness programs. And but on the other hand, we can see that the more mature audience had a more acceptance towards the wastewater use, and that may be explained somehow, because they are in a different part of the city, and different part of their lives also, and they probably are more aware of what is important, and for the younger people that didn't felt yet in Lisbon water shortages, and this is a key aspect, a key trigger thing, because in Lisbon, the last drought severe drought that we had a few years ago, the drinking water consumption have reduced a lot, and after that, despite the availability of drinking water increased, the drinking water consumption did not increase. So the water scarcity had an impact on the behaviors of the people, and I think this younger generation didn't experience yet this kind of water shortages. So that may be a key thing to highlight. Regarding the public acceptance. Somehow, despite this 40 and something percent, somehow we were surprised about the amount of people that is receptive to this practice, because the previous perception that we had was that people, okay, the wastewater use, it's okay, but not in my backyard. And it's not like that, as we can see by these results. So it's encouraging to see that a huge percentage is already aware of this aspect and accept this practice.
Okay, if I may, I was also impressed by 10% of the general public thinks that, or believe that that are already happened in Lisbon to use wastewater for drinking purposes. So it was I wasn't expecting that, but okay. And also I think that for the new projects, for example, to put the signs on the Parque das Nações Irrigation Park project, on the law, to say this water comes from these wastewater treatment plants. It's not potable. It's wastewater use, etc. It's important as well. And
communication is a key aspect here to tackle and to provide this information to people to somehow. I know it's a tricky aspect, but somehow it's important to all the places have this information, so people feel informed. It's not like I always say, it's not we can provide data, but data may not be information. We have to inform people, so it's something to highlight.
If I may?
Yes, please.
I think all of you are really true, are really right, because I think facing the education and the formation is very difficult. As far as you can do a lot of campaigns, a lot of, but you have to do. And we have one very beautiful, we had a few years ago, one very beautiful campaign that said every drops count. So, and that's what we were doing in the campaign, letting water from one people to other people to fulfill one dam. And it was every drop count. And I think it's true. It's very difficult to conscious people, to make people conscious of the importance of taking care of the water, taking care of the environment. There are, as Rui said, there are a lot of different campaigns in the schools. Here, Canal Isabel II, we have one big campaign. It's called Canal Educa, and we go to every school telling things about water. I think more oriented to potable water and wastewater. We have to increase the reused water in this project. But I think young people is very aware of the necessity of taking care of the environment. More than mature people, no? Somehow a lot of our kids say, no, mommy, take care of the light, switch off the light, switch off so, but the problem is that they don't really understand the reused water situation, I think. So it's important to tell them about that, but I think it's more technical. So we have to face the three main factors: the kids, mature people, and the government, because we need the laws, because we need the permission, because we need the municipalities to ask for our reclaimed water. So it's a whole, and we have to face all of them. Is my opinion.
Yeah, yes, I think involving everyone, no matter the age or the position, it's an absolute important matter, and we also have the possibility, at least in Portugal, to contact our wastewater treatment company and ask for a visit, for a guide visit to the installation.
I think it's an obligation for the utility and for the managers to be proactive and call everyone and make every campaign they can and put this advertise in every garden. This is reused water, this is irrigated with reused water, and this is how we do it, and this is very good for us. And we have reduced, we can give information, we have reduced our potable water consumption or whatever. It's our obligation to be proactive and go there, even when not everyone receive it, because you make a great effort and not all the population is aware.
Yes, and also we have to value more some things that, for example, is one of as developed, which is the Lisbon Observatory, which they collect data and publish about the citizens of Lisbon in the energy uses, the water, the wastewater, the residues, the gases emissions, and other mobilities, by car, train, etc. And these kind of things all together, if well organized, we can to start focusing on the youngest, but of course your generation, mine as well, but start from the principle. But we need to change a little bit the way we communicate, because, for example, I've seen many campaigns on energy uses, and of course it's very important, the efficiency, but we should not also distract from water and wastewater. Rui, you have another question? We are almost ending. I will allow you to speak again, so please do it.
Thank you. It's very quick. It's very quick. It's just a question for Lydia, Lydia Saez. So if I understand, does Canal Isabel have the possibility to sell or to supply the recycled water for a private garden? If imagine that I have a house and I have a small garden, you do that as well, or you only do the reuse for the public irrigation?
Not yet. We are not able to supply private uses because of how I saw you is very expensive to install. You have to install different pipes, different networks. So it would be right now so expensive that we can't face it. But we supply to municipalities, big gardens, some places to clean street cleaning, but for municipalities and some specific industries, not for private uses.
Thank you.
We would like, but right now we can face it.
Okay, so if I may, Filipa, to ask one question to Lydia before we start to wrapping up our session. Lydia, you are a truly example as company of the multiple purposes that you are already established, the ground infrastructure, the acceptance. For example, a few years ago, I as a kid, I had go to Madrid and saw the similar boards on public parks as I saw today on Parque das Nações in Portugal, and I didn't know that park was irrigated by wastewater. So you have a lot of experience, a lot of background, but I want to ask you, what is the midterm plan that Canal de Isabel II has for the next years, like for example, for 2030 or?
Yeah, the problem is that the biggest wastewater treatment plant that can supply a lot of reused water, they are already doing. So we have a lot of other wastewater treatment plants, but are smaller. They don't have enough quantity of water. No, so we are facing agricultural purposes and industrial purposes. So the municipalities are already covered, the main municipalities, and now we are trying to convince there are not a lot of agriculture here in Madrid, but we are trying to convince them to use reused water. It's a little bit difficult because they are not big companies and it's needed a lot of space for the reservoirs, and there are other difficulties that we are trying to cover. But this is our next step. In the south of Spain, this is completely successful, but not in Madrid.
Yes, we saw yesterday on the agriculture use session from a presentation of Pedro Simon from Examur that in Murcia they reuse almost 98% for agriculture, and it's success, but more often it, because Murcia is I think the most arid region in Europe, as Pedro said. So they are struggling, but at the same time, they have this intense agriculture that need to keep the production and provide jobs for their region. One last small question: isn't the farmers indirectly using your wastewater when you reject it on the river?
No. Well, some of them, maybe they take water from the river, so a little bit, but others use groundwater.
Okay.
Sometimes illegally. So I think there's something the government should take in account to close these illegal groundwater wells. But no, not really. Okay,
so if anyone has questions from the audience, please. This is the last call. Filipa, we are 10 minutes away. Do you want to say something or some final words, or inviting also the speakers to do it before I wrap our session?
Maybe our invited speakers might like to say something, because I've already made a little summary for my part. So maybe, I don't know, if you need to say, if you would like to share something, please go.
It's okay.
Thank you very much for all your presence and contributions. And I'm sure we'll meet again soon in another conference or another event of this nature, because I'm pretty sure water reuse is needed and is going to be the future.
I'm sorry, my sound was off. And thank you, Filipa, for being here with me. It was a pleasure. To Zhuo, and Lydia, also thank you so much for your presentations on wastewater reuse at this urban level. It was a very interesting session at all the dimensions that were here discussed. You have shown that many things can be implemented and projected with success in our societies and life, when the right will and purpose are applied. To all the attendants here, live attendants, it was also a pleasure to having you here with us, and also thank you for participation through the session. Please don't forget to respond our quick survey that should be pop up right now as I speak. Okay. In the other hand, for the people seeing us from YouTube after our event, you can also see the other sessions of this edition by using the link for that in the description of this video. You should also find a playlist of this edition on our YouTube page or in our website. You can also consider to connecting with us on LinkedIn, follow up our latest news and activities that we will develop during this year. This was the Urban Uses session of Wastewater Reuse Year 2023. I see you in the next occasion, and remember our phrase: the water flows begins, but never ends. What really matters is how we do it. Thank you very much, and I see you in the next time. See you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.